what I just said. Okay. Okay. And let's make sure, let me check Facebook that we're live. There's kind of a delay. Yeah. Okay. I think we're streaming. There's a little bit of a weird internet hang up. Okay. Hey, Erin. Thanks for joining me here. Ladies, if you're catching this is Erin Naughton. So Erin and I go way back. She used to personal train here with one of our awesome trainers here. And then when she was doing her wine business, she would do wine parties for us. And I've known her for a long time. So back, you did the New Year's version, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So back when and she's since moved up north. So we no longer get to see her in person as often, but she reached out when I was announcing and launching the 45-day New Year version. And Erin had just gone, I'm going to let her tell her story, but she has had multiple knee surgeries over the years, and she was recovering from a major surgery. And so she was going through this program while she was doing PT. So not really doing quite full on workouts yet. But she needed a solution, right? And she's a single mom, busy with work, all over the place, always on the go, and she has a 4-year-old. So if anyone can do it, and she's had amazing results, I'll share those with you guys here in a little bit, but like unbelievable. And I want her to talk about like her experience. Like, well, Erin, let me just hand it over to you. I'll interject here and there, but
yeah,
tell everyone a little bit about like what you got going on.
Yeah. So like Jill said, we go way back. And I did just come off of a total knee replacement back in September of last year. It was long overdue, unfortunately, but it's done. And so when I was rehabbing, coming back from it, I saw Jill's post. And I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. And the part I know I personally have always struggled in was the nutrition aspect. Being from an athletic background and playing sports most of my life, the physical activity of everything and getting moving, for me, especially coming out of recovery from my surgery, was not necessarily my primary focus to start. But I knew I needed the accountability, and I needed somebody to help me get back on track with my food, because that's the one thing I think you'll hear from just about anybody in the fitness industry is you can't outrun the kitchen, right? But I also knew that I had this 4-year-old that I had to keep happy. Thankfully, I think my child is pretty much on board with about any vegetable or fruit or anything, and eats.
She's very adventurous with her food. Yeah, which is a positive.
Yes, absolutely. It helps a million times over. But the one thing that's been amazing is watching her come along with me in this little journey. But as Jill said, I am a single parent, so I do work Monday through Friday, 40 hours a week. This spring have helped coach 3 and 4-year-old soccer clinics with sporting. And then I get my kid on top of that and all the other family obligations that come with it. So I know looking back in the past, I've always struggled with weight. It's always been an issue. I've always been able to put on muscle, which is great, and get toned in that aspect, but I would never lose the weight. I would bulk up, could never figure out why until I decided to do the 45 day challenge with Jill. And that's when a lot of things kind of clicked and started to change.
Let's give some nice takeaways here. So like, what do you think is the biggest thing that clicked, or what changed? How is it different from what you were doing previously?
I think the biggest thing, and I think this actually may hold true for a lot of people, is not eating enough. That was never a thought in my head that I wasn't eating enough. I just thought I wasn't eating the right things. And funny enough, I had the same conversation with my own grandmother, my 93-year-old grandmother, on Sunday. And I said, it's been amazing. I figured out, what was really holding me back. And she just kind of looked at me serious. And you had to stop eating all the crap, right? And I'm like, no. I said I wasn't eating enough. And she just kind of looked at me like I was heads. But it's true. I think on any given day, at most, I might have once in a blue moon hit 1,500 calories in a day. Otherwise, it was probably less than 1,000. And I always struggled to remember to eat, because I do get hyper focused on things and I will just work and forget. And I didn't have a plan in place. So being mindful of how much I was eating didn't really change necessarily what I was eating, because Hazel and I typically just end up eating a lot of chicken. There's a lot of fruit. There's a lot of vegetables. She likes rice and risotto and those sorts of things. So it makes it fairly easy to meal plan with her. I mean, and on the occasion, she'll have her own thing and I'll have something separate, which is not a huge deal.
Yeah.
And then keeping it simple. That's been the other big thing. Keeping it simple across the board, easy grab, easy preps, and then
Were you surprised do you feel like the meal prep side of the things I gave you guys was simple or easy? Was it less than you expected?
I think for me personally, a lot of it was easy. If something I felt like required a little bit more work, which some of them do, and that's totally fine. But I planned those like on the weekends. I didn't have my 4-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can kind of tailor it. You can customize this. I teach you how to do that.
That was the perfect thing, is even as the menus came out every week, I would try some of the new things, but if work in life was just flat busy, because life happens, I went to my tried and true and picked the simplest things off of all of the menus that I could combine to make my menu for the week. And that's what I rolled with. And the biggest thing out of that is I learned very quickly that if I didn't 100% stick to it, that was not the end of the world. And I did not need to self-sabotage myself, which I feel like I've done a lot in the past when I've done those sort of nutrition plans and that sort of thing. I beat myself up to the ends of the earth because I fell off the wagon and it's just a lost cause now. And why am I even doing this?
Yeah. Let's talk about, I'm going to interject. Yeah. Let's talk about how many of you guys watching this, I don't know if anyone's on live and wants to comment, but how many times have you done a program or a challenge and you do great and then you like totally fall off the wagon because you've been so restricted? Like, so how many months past, at least 2 months, going on 3 months past your program? And this girl is still, she's in my alumni prep group now, which we kind of keep things going. And still dropping, still progressing. And do you feel like you've stayed? Well, we talk, there's really no wagon. We just want sustainable shifts. Yeah. Do you like how easy, and you travel a little bit for work too. So how have you been able to maintain this progress?
I've been consistent. And so I learned through the 45-day challenge I set myself up for success. And I think I told you just Jill this in one of the weigh-ins. I always have, like, in my purse, there's always a go-to protein bar. There's some to-go collagen powder, and there's always some dried mango and almonds in there because life happens. And if I'm on the road and I realize, oh, it's really been like 3 or 4 hours since I've eaten, I need to throw something in my body. I have those readily available. And so that helps. I do have the occasional fun size candy bar or whatever when I go into the office. And while it's not technically in the plan, it's not the end of the world. It's one little bite-sized candy bar. It's not going to completely derail me. And I have no guilt because, and I do this every time, and I think I told you this the last time, I'm the first one I get on that scale in the office to do my check-in, and I immediately self-doubt myself and tell myself I did horrible and I gained and I didn't lose anything and I didn't improve. And then you're like, what are you talking about? And it's like, well, no, I saw the number. And you're like, no. And it's like, okay, I need to stop doubting myself. And I think that's still the biggest hurdle for me to overcome. But there's a lot of things the program helped me prioritize. And now I understand where I get sidetracked and derailed and what causes those. But now I have the tools and understanding to go back and realign myself and get myself back on track a lot easier without feeling like it's going to take an act of God to make it happen. You know?
Yeah, right.
Those sorts of things.
It's not going to be a major backslide. So you did a testimonial for me a while.
Oops.
We talked about, this was a big impact on Hazel. Do you remember? Oh, you got something popping up. It's all good. It always happens. There was something about how this, you going through this lifestyle program helped with your interaction, your energy level with Hazel, something to that effect. Can you tell them about
Yes.
that?
Yeah, absolutely. So even probably at the start of COVID, when everybody was working from home, I caught myself in this like rut, and I literally could nap. It's been the biggest struggle to find my energy, but I could literally nap 2 or 3 times a day during my work day, which is not exactly approved. It's a little frowned upon. But so I always knew the energy was an issue, and then I was relying on coffee, but I was still so tired at the end of the day, and I didn't want to do anything, and I was grumpy. It just was miserable, which in turn directly impacted the 4-year-old who feeds off of my energy.
Yeah.
So when I got my knee replaced, the biggest thing I did is I wanted to get it replaced because I wanted to be able to be active with her and keep up with her and do all those fun things that she wants me to do, and actually have the energy to do it and not be in pain. But the other part of that is I needed to get myself healthy again in all aspects to be able to have the energy and the ability to do so. I mean, the first thing, I think the very first week, within just a few days, just changing how much was going into my body and obviously being very conscious of my water intake made the biggest improvement on that. Then obviously, like I said, getting Hazel involved in the meal prep and helping her, figure out what she wants to eat, and then having her help me prep anything that needed to be cooked, whether that be cutting with her little knives that she has in the kitchen and helping me cut up vegetables or whatever.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
It's the best thing ever. I found little plastic knives on Amazon. They were the best Christmas gift I gave her. And then I gave a knife to every grandmother so that she can help them cook whenever she goes over there. So she enjoys it. And so I had to find a way to help her stay involved in the process. And sometimes it's just a matter of putting the things in the bowl and mixing it and then letting me actually cook it, which is fantastic. But because she's been a part of the process, she feels like she's helping, and then she sees the progress and the improvements, and she feeds off of it. So her nutrition's gotten better because everybody knows toddlers have an attitude all in of themselves. But I also had seen some articles during that time where your child's nutrition plays a direct part in some of their attitudes. So if they're not getting what they need from their food, and they're not being, getting the right vitamins and the right mixture that their body needs, then you can have some acting out, etc. Or they're not eating enough, and it's like that hidden hunger. And then I'm like, well, when I don't eat enough and when I get hungry, I get quiet and I can get mean when somebody responds. I mean, I get that.
Yeah, we get hangry.
Yeah. So like, that made complete sense. And since we've done that, things have gotten better. There's still days. I mean, she's 4. But in the grand scheme of things, it's like we kind of figured out our own little rhythm with this entire lifestyle change. And it's funny looking at it. It's like, really nothing has really been a huge drastic change to what we were already doing. I've just been equipped with the tools to make it more fluid and easily accessible for her and I both every day, which makes a huge change for everything.
Yeah. And we address all of that, like how to customize things, we even talk about planning, like your daily routine, how to be more mindful about things. It's not just like, oh, let's do this recipe or meal plan. But you said something a little bit ago. And I know I say this to a lot of women, and it doesn't always hit right. Like, I want you to eat more, or we're going to increase your calories. Like, that's a scary thing. And my industry has done a disservice with all these diets and challenges and let's do this shake plan. And this is my experience as well. I did 8 or 9 figure competitions in my early 30s, destroyed my metabolism and could not get my calories back up. I was under eating for years and then binging in this huge roller coaster. It was terrible. I have in the last 3 years increased my calories by 1,000 or close to. I'm eating like 2,400 calories a day now, and as lean as I, need to be. I don't need to be leaner. No fun. But you can. So I'm going to tell you, I'm just leading up to Erin's results. Here's her results since January. And we checked in April. So she's increased her calories, she's feeling better, her energy's up, and she's lost 10 pounds. Okay. And she was not working out in the beginning of this with us because she is doing PT. How cool is that? She's added 2.2 pounds of muscle and she's dropped 4.5% of body fat so far. Her inflammation is down. Her basal metabolic rate is up. That means she's burning more calories, eating more. And she's had a really big drop in visceral fat. That's like around your midsection, around the organs that we want to, like, for health reasons, really want to watch. It's down 3 points. So like, that's really outstanding.
It is. And the funny thing
And
is sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the funny thing is the one thing I haven't really been focused on was the scale and the number that it said, because I've always been an athlete, so my weight's always been a little bit higher than probably most, but it's never been a concern, even from my doctors. So it was like, okay, I'm not really sweating that. And I know I have a whole new pound of metal in my leg. So yeah, my weight's not really it.
Sure.
You know, there's things that are going to show up, but not focusing on that and purely focusing on the way I feel and just knowing that I'm being healthier and making healthier decisions and not restricting myself, because I really haven't restricted myself from any of the pleasures. If I go out to eat, then I kind of adjust some stuff for the next day. It's not the end of the world. And that's been the biggest change. And I know some people would look at them and it was like, well, that's only 10 pounds since January. Yeah, it's only 10 pounds, but my focus wasn't weight loss. It was being healthier. So if I've lost the 10 pounds and now I'm starting to gain some of the muscle back, being more active since I've been cleared. Yeah, the muscle's gonna, replace some of the fat loss.
Here's the thing. Yeah, and here's the thing about that fast, like, let's lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it comes back on, and it comes back on worse. So if you can consistently be losing like that, man, you're winning. So nice work.
Yeah, and that's what I told my grandma, and I told my mom the same thing. I was like, I'm losing it, and I'm losing it the right way, and it's coming off slowly, which means it'll be a permanent loss as opposed to I dropped it in 90 days or whatever, and it's gone.
Right.
I'm
and
super
now double
thin
the fat comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap this up. Do you have one, like, what was your top takeaway or tip that these ladies could maybe implement now, whether they choose to join me, don't give away all my secrets, choose to join me in the 45-day program or not? Like, what's something you want to share?
Probably the biggest one, and it's still one that I struggle with daily. Put yourself first and make your time for yourself. Because the way I look at it and the way I've always heard it is you can't pour from an empty cup. And I actually made a reference to, I actually told my boss this. I took a mental health day a couple of weeks ago, full disclosure, because I was just in a mindset and I was like, I'm pouring, there's nothing left in the cup. I've started reaching for reserves that aren't there. Like, it's a negative cup at this point. There's nothing left. I need to take a moment and just recenter myself and take a mental health day. But I can tell you, I probably would have never made that realization had I not started the program in January and seen what the benefits were by doing that and changing that mindset. And it's not always easy being a mom. I mean, I think every mother can agree to that. It's hard to put yourself first because you don't feel like that's the way it's supposed to be. You feel like your kids and family and everybody's supposed to come first. But the thing is you have to treat yourself well. And then everybody else feeds off of that and they are directly impacted, just like changing my health and paying attention to my health journey and improving myself has directly impacted for the better my own daughter. So that's probably the biggest takeaway I would have.
I love it. Yeah. And we talk about that's cool. Man, you need to like come coach one of the Zooms during this program. Like, what do you think, ladies? That was awesome.
I'm happy to do whatever I can, Jill.
Right. Thanks, Erin. It's been a pleasure having you on here. I hope everyone watching this gets a great little takeaway.
Thanks,
bye, ladies.
Jill.
Okay, we'll stop.